Hello, host Eric here, talking with famous people, and famous person just a post hominid indicated the following topic, and I like it a lot. It's the next step of human evolution. I'll start with a quick one here since I don't have a ton of stuff in mind right off the top of my head, but I would say it's going to include some sort of incorporation with either biological augmentation and or mechanical augmentation of some sort in conjunction with external augmentation through technological tools like, for example, YouTube augmenting my SI. Other thoughts?
Well, do you think that humans are ever going to live forever?
I low-key might use it. Nah, I can't. Doesn't sound like Victoria.
Not forever, but definitely extend their lifetime.
Homie, are you Charles Barkley's French poodle?
It's like year 2000.
I think
No,
it's
he's
Wakanda.
Oh, Uganda.
Lorenz
Oh,
is
you're Uganda.
Charles Barkley's French poodle.
Oh, Lorenz is Charles Barkley's French poodle. Okay, good to know. Okay, so you kind of say what you said again about immortality.
I would say definitely an extended life, but I don't think you can live forever.
Living forever would imply contiguous consciousness, right?
Yeah,
Like an ongoing.
unless there's some way you can transfer your consciousness to like a robotic body.
That's what I was thinking.
How many people in this room have been put under during an operation? Been unconscious?
Me,
Me.
I have.
Okay. A lot of people. Okay. So, how do we know we're actually the same person and not just a copy of the person that we were before we went under? Like, would that be what it's like if you were to die and have your consciousness put into a different body? Would it be just like that?
Would you have to relearn?
Probably not because I don't know if the body would react differently in terms of the chemical composition to your brain.
It's okay.
Body might-
My
like,
consciousness
might-
would will itself upon the brain and force it to change. I guess you aren't entirely the same cells as you were at the previous point in your life. Alright, so Jim points out that your cells have changed. There's no meaningful way that you are exactly the same person as you were before you were rendered unconscious. That would tend to bode well for the notion of implanting consciousness someplace else. It doesn't have to actually be contiguous, right? You can have periods of interrupted consciousness and still be alive and come back. What do you think that means metaphysically for the future of humans in terms of mortality? Does that bode well, ill, or irrelevant?
I think as long as we're not all stuck on this planet, then yeah, it doesn't really matter.
But do you think those things are related to each other? Specifically, the fact that you can go unconscious and come back, is that related to the fact that you could, in fact, implant intelligence in some circuit board or something like that that allows you to persist on after your body's dead?
Yeah, but the thing is, like, the problem is that you have to identify what consciousness is in the first place. Because, like, we don't know what it is, so we can't really know if you can transfer it or not.
Okay, well, just a post hominid asked a really good question as well. Are you actually unconscious, or has your consciousness just been altered in some fashion that you are conscious but don't remember it and are rendered unable to move? That could possibly be the case. There's no way you'd be able to know the difference, right? Except they do brainwave stuff, and it would appear that your brainwaves show less activity, right?
Your consciousness could actually just be the frequency of your brainwaves. So if they can replicate that, then maybe that's your consciousness.
So would you imagine then that consciousness is the visible spectrum of brainwave frequency, so to speak, as an analogy. We've got light kinds that we
Maybe.
can't see. We've got brainwaves that we can't know, and somehow agency is another sense. Sense of self is an additional sense besides sight, sound, touch, taste, smell. You've got a permanence, right? Which you apply to various things. You've got observational stasis imposition. I observe and render you static in my universe so that I can know you and process you into my existing other pile of static things. Thoughts?
The original question is what do you think the next step in human evolution is? So aside from cyborgs and cyborgs and AI and altering our biology and stuff, I was wanting to get to is since we don't really have as much of a society where the weak don't get picked off and they're allowed to breed, do you think that would allow for more different variations in human types over a prolonged period of time? Or would that, I don't know. Is that responsible for a species to do?
No. Because you have to pick a vector of competence. Weak at what? Weak at fighting off tigers? Do we want the strongest people who are good at fighting off tigers to be the ones who survive?
I mean, it doesn't really matter because
Because it's
having
going
a
to
lot
get
of genetic
mutated by-
diversity is
yeah.
actually good in the long run.
You can't manufacture a system to replace the natural mechanisms of competition and human interaction in hopes that you'll engineer a better outcome. It's insane.
I mean, I think it is possible to just make humans less aggressive.
How? You're gonna breed them? You're gonna engage in eugenics?
Yeah,
It's not-
I like
it's
Or
not
maybe,
gonna work.
or maybe turn off the genes that are responsible for aggression.
Go over here. You got some genes. We're gonna turn off some of your genes. We don't like them.
Yeah, but since our advances in biotechnology...
No, you don't have any choice. You get your bottom over here right now. We're turning off genes. It's gene turn off day. You guys, we don't like those ones.
And I also think
but
that
since-
humans are eventually going to get to the point where there's only going to be one sex, I think.
Only one sex.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting.
Casey agrees.
Let's
That-
hope not.
That bodes disappointingly for intercourse.
We'll advance upon the means of intercourse.
How will we advance? You mean we'll remove
Well,
intercourse from our bodies or what?
No, we'll advance upon the means of intercourse. We won't need it anymore. We'll
No, we'll
have
just
some other form of
artificially...
replication.
Lorenz
Yeah.
Walker, people
Artificial.
don't have intercourse because they have a need to have intercourse. They have intercourse because they have a want to have intercourse. You're like, don't worry, we've got this solved. You won't need to have intercourse anymore. We're gonna find a way to have you reproduce outside the human body.
I'm
And
talking
everyone's
about
like, fantastic, let's stop fucking.
I'm talking about humans evolving past the desire for that action because it's no longer necessary for their reproduction.
Why is that a desirable outcome? You're saying that's evolving. Why is that not devolving? Devolving away from basic human pleasures.
We will
Yeah, I'm ready for that. I'm ready for a robot to have sex with and clean up after me and do all that kind of shit. That'd be
There seems like a lack of authenticity there.
super
though.
consistent, super
Humanisation.
convenient. Well, they gotta be legit. I mean, they gotta feel like a human being. They gotta be like in Blade Runner robots, you
A
know.
robot
What Myers-Briggs type would you make your robot if you could program it?
ISFJ, of course.
Okay.
Yeah.
We did this video.
Just cycle through them every month.
Yeah, just
you know.
try out a different one and then like find them your favorite.
Okay, well, I think JC and Stick66 make a good point that in the future we will all be lesbian vegans. We're going to love it. There's going to be a lot of crystals. And we're going to be really healthy. That's how we achieve immortality. That's when we achieve immortality.
Also, I think our bodies are gonna get smaller, and our heads are gonna get bigger, and our eyes as well.
Are you gonna have us turn into Martians?
I mean, we're gonna get to the point with technology where there's no need for the body really.
Are we gonna be
Not
the
an important
Greys?
factor.
I am post-human. I am future human. Hello.
Yeah,
I have no need
that's-
for my body. My genitals have all rotted away.
That's why we don't need to reproduce anymore. We don't have that desire.
Thank God for that. That sure was a waste of time.
We'll have other ways of feeling things. Like
Okay.
technological drugs.
You just press a button and just experience just like dopamine at will.
Exactly.
Yes, the Starbucks will have a shot of dopamine for $1.50.
It's like
Good
those.
drink.
It's like
But
those.
also, there's gonna come a point where I think robots are gonna demand their own rights
Well, yeah, if they're
as sentient beings.
well, it depends how you program them. We've had this discussion before. You got to program them with a powerful urge to serve, to obey. You got to make them
Yeah.
just like straight up FE, FE, FE. You know, just full on FE, but no
Well, you don't want
impositional
robots with free
TE.
will?
Well, you want them to have free will, but you want their free will to be satisfied best by serving me, right? That's
Well,
the
wait, why do we
idea.
even want robots? Why do we
That's
want
unethical.
robots to have the free will?
What?
Why do we want
I'm
robots to
saying
have
because
free will?
if we create robots to the point where they can think for themselves and act on their own behalf, and basically think on a level close to humans or even surpassing humans, then they're sentient beings, and I think that they do deserve their own natural rights.
We'll end up with that Robin Williams film happening all over again.
I don't know. If history tells us anything, I think we're just gonna be a robot enslavement for a while.
Okay, but look, let's look at dogs, for example. My dogs are free-range dogs. They have plenty of opportunity to run away anytime they want. They're not I don't consider them my property. I consider them my live-in friends, you know, my
Yeah.
family. And
Yeah, but
I
do you look
don't-
at them as a intellectual equal, though?
Well,
Yeah.
no, but my point is, they are designed. They are our robot love machines, right? They just love you, and they want to make you happy, and they're worried about your emotions. And sometimes they're bad is when they're not really listening to you. But if you express to them that you're really upset at them, they won't like go away. They'll adjust their behavior, you know.
But when you have even or superior intelligence, I think that might be overridden just by your system, or has the possibility to.
Okay, but if that's the case, that intelligence overwrites nature, then why do we keep talking about cognitive functions? Isn't it the case that we're all expressing our natures right now through our dominant cognitive function, unable to escape the ocean in which we swim? I think we can construct robots in the same way, so that they have their own ocean in which they swim, an ocean called dopamine from service. Dopamine from
Yeah, but
service.
I don't think you can make that claim because humans don't even use 20%, more than 20% of their brain. So it might be
I thought that's a
possible.
myth.
That's because the other 80% is busy breathing and shit like that.
All the brain's active, it's just different areas, two different things.
Yeah. Okay, well, are we about ready to end this topic? What was it again?
But I think the thing with that though is that humans have a general like range of intelligence in different ways. We have all these different processes. That the robots, they're going to be more heavy on the processing power and that kind of intellect. So that I don't know how that plays into the situation. I think it's important though.
I think so, but I think what's vastly more important than their processing power is the framework through which they're compelled to drive that processed information. If they're compelled to drive that processed information through good for humanity and through a limiting principle of behavior on an individual level only, so in other words, they can't take group favored actions. You have to have both.
How do we implement morality into robots?
And
Well,
empathy too.
Those two things naturally produce moral behavior, whether it's actually empathetic or not.
Yeah, but it would be hard to
Yeah,
replicate.
it's actually shown that
behavior.
You're not talking
people with
about
higher intellect tend to be less violent and more moral than people who are less intelligent.
Okay. Well, regardless, the point is, if they're framing everything through a certain framework and they're processing and they're somehow constrained from behaving against fundamental limiting principles, I think we'd all be okay with Isaac Asimov's number one rule for robots. Don't hurt human beings, don't do harm.
What if-
They won't
whatever-
understand why we're
Yeah, but I
acting
don't understand this myth. Like, why are people afraid of how robots? Why do people have this conception that robots are gonna enslave and attack humans?
Well, I think one of the reasons is because
There's a fear.
what if the robots value the planet and then they see that humans are detrimental to maybe something greater?
iRobot.
Yeah.
Well, look, I think we can do robots just fine. They'll be fine. They'll be agreeable. It's just a matter of balancing sentience with constraint.
Obedience.
So, well, here's the thing: to the extent that we have to have them operating according to principles and being concerned with their behavior as moral agents, they have to have the capacity for moral agency in the first place. So, my point would be that the issue of sentience precedes the issue of how to constrain it, because you won't probably actually know how to constrain it until the sentience is there to manifest the problem that needs to be constrained.
Just a wrap.
Done, says Jim. I agree. Okay, thank you, Jim. I appreciate your NI wisdom. Thanks for watching Talking with Fans People.